Hello everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to my video. Okay, so this is Ritesh and I am pursuing BCom honors from Shriram College of Commerce, and I show you another example of the profitability case and related to the banking framework, mainly like your interviewer, or you can say your client is based up and is working in the banking sector, you can say, and he is asking in the interview from you problem related to the banking sector and mainly related to the profitability case, right? So let's start the video. Okay, so what would be the problem look like in the profitability sector, in the banking sector mainly? So the interviewer gives you a problem like this, like a commercial bank that has faced a decline of 20% in its revenue, and we have to analyze the reason for the same and recommend the solutions as well, right? So we get to clear from here like decline of 20% revenue, so it's a profitability case, right? So we have to analyze the reason by following some steps, like by begin with the asking the preliminary questions to narrow down the, it will help to narrow down our approach in the further. Okay, so asking some preliminary questions first of all. So what would be the preliminary questions would look like where is the bank located, and since we have been facing this problem, right? And have the other commercial banks facing the same decline or not? It will help us because like if we get to know it is a, is it a industry wise problem, or is it a company wise problem? Is it a company wise problem, then the approach would be different, like because there is something lack in the company, that's why only this company suffers from decreasing its revenue. But okay, so this will help us in the further the to get the answer from the interviewer, and like is there is any specific branch of the bank that has been facing the problem, or do we have any information which revenue stream has affected most, right? So these are the four questions mainly that I would ask if I on in the your shoes, if I in the your shoes, so I would be asked these type of four questions. So let's see what would be the particular answers, or like answers we can get. Like client is based out of Mumbai and has been facing problem from 2 years now, right? So our client facing the problem 2 years, since 2 years, and some of the bank has facing the problem and some have not. Okay, so it is clear here that it is the problem related to the given by the interviewer, is it a, it is a company wise problem. It is not a company wise problem, it is an industry wise problem, sorry, because many of the banks also facing the same problem. So there is something lack in the revenue side only, not any cost side, or not any lack in the companies, because a lack may not be, might not, like there is less probability that all the banks have facing the same lack or like that. So there is it is clear that the revenue side has something shortfall, which due to this bank facing the 20% decline in its revenue, and client facing this problem in all the branches across major cities has been clear, and interest on loan affected most. Okay, so first of all, I tell you there's so many major revenue streams. Like if you want to solve any case study, right? So you have to a little bit knowledge of that industry would be necessary. It should be necessary, right? Because if you not know what is the revenue side, as we like as we saw in our daily life, there are so many revenue, like major revenue, there are so many revenue streams of the banks from which the bank generate money, or fulfill its objective of the profitability case. So what would be the major revenue streams in the banks as we saw in our daily life, like interest on loans, fees and penalties, and interest on foreign investments, local facilities, and ancillary services. So these are the major streams by which the banks generate revenue, or generate, you can say, the profit of its profit, which was the motive of any, you know, any businessman or any uh, particular, you know, institution. So as I as our interview clearly said that interest on loans would be affected more. So my approach would be interest on loans mainly. Okay, and I analyze the reason why there is something lag in between the interest on loans. So as we know that interest on loans, how would we calculate it? Is amount of loans given into interest rates and percentage collected, right? Is there is any lag in between amount of loans, interest rate, and percentage collected? And how it would affect it, like amount of loans, how affected the interest on loans, amount of loans, like availability of funds to lend. If banks don't have enough money to lend to someone, so it would be obvious, it is obviously like interest on loans, because there is less interest given by the bank, so the interest are also less, because loans are not given by the banks because they don't have any funds so much to lend, and limited demand for loans. Either the demand in the market is also limited, like in the bearish market, in the bullish market, as in the stock market. So there is something like inflation and deflation in the market. If the interest rate would be higher by the bank, then many of so many people not prefer to take a loan from the bank. So it would be that reason that there is something limited demand in the market. So that's why the amount of loans given is less, and ultimately interest on loans will be less. And okay, so interview said that, okay, so you can ask from the interview in mid of the case study problem as well, like because you don't know the company so much, or you don't know, you are not a, you are not a employee of that company yet in the interview. So you can ask from the interview, like what would be your experience and what you see from the past 2 years that will affect your revenue. So interview tell you that he realized that he don't have enough money to give as loans, right? They don't have money, as I said, they don't have money. So okay, so our approach is good. Okay, and we go further with the amount of loans. So amount of loans, as I said, also affected with the, okay, so our problem is that availability of funds, right? So our interview said that we don't have enough fund to lend, so we go with the that only. So amount deposit, we analyze the reason, we have to analyze the reason that why this is so, that the availability of funds is decreases. Okay, so let's we analyze how. First of all, we have to estimate the amount of deposit, how amount of deposit would be affected, because if the amount of deposit affected, then ultimately availability of funds to lend is also affected, right? Okay, so how we can estimate that number of people in depositing into number deposit, amount deposit per person, right? So amount of deposit either due to amount of deposit change either due to a number of people, change in number of people depositing, or amount deposit per person. And let's go with the amount deposit per person. And client also analyzed that people between ages 21 and 35 had reduced the amount they deposit. Okay, so it is clear that bank has no funds to lend, because the people in between the ages of 21 and 35 have reduced the amount they deposit, right? So ultimately the number of people depositing decreases. Is it right? The number of people depositing will be decreases. That's why it will impact the amount, it will impact the bank profitability, and ultimately bank not able to lend loans to the people, and ultimately interest on loans will be impacted. So that's the main criteria, that's my main focus. Okay, so let's go another, like amount deposit, as I said, amount earned into percentage of deposit. Amount deposit is equal to amount earned percentage of deposit. So it is unlikely that everyone in the age bracket start earning less, because amount earned and percentage of deposit. So okay, so sorry for that. I forgot to tell you where here what we are analyze. So here in this slide, we have to analyze the reason why this is so, that the ages between the people between the ages of 21 and 35 start reduce their depositing in the bank, right? So we can analyze the reason by see that amount earned into percentage of deposit, either the amount earned by the people decreases, that's why they are also decrease the less number of deposit in their banks, or percentage of deposit decreases. Okay, so okay, so I understand you in a clear manner. Like, say, if a person earn 1000 rupees and prior he used to uh, he used to save 20% in its bank, and it would be reason that that person earn only 800 right now. The amount earned is decreasing. That's why 8%, 20%, 820% it just decreases the amount depositing in the bank. And another an example, the percentage of deposited is that uh, the person between the ages of 21 and 35 would be get a good another source of income, like bank gives an interest to them, but they get a good source of other income which would get a high return than the bank. So they decreases the amount percentage of amount deposited in the bank. Prior the, like in the example as I said, prior they used to save 20% in their bank, but now they want only 10% want to save in the bank, right? So that's why the profit of the bank decreases, because they don't have enough money to collect from the from the customers, and also not lend to the customers. So okay, so here we assume, because it is where we what we assume that it is unlikely that everyone in the age bracket start earning less. So it is clear that to, because 21 to 35 there are so many population in India specifically, there are so many youths in India. So it is unlikely that everyone in the age bracket start earning less. Is it okay, right? So but what would be the problem is the amount, is the percentage of depositing. And why percentage of deposit affected, as I said, there's so many reasons, like they would get another opportunities, or get another, like they are, like as you see on the screen, like alternate opportunities such as investment in the stock market, share market, and stock market as I said, and different policies to lure the different classes of people as investment opportunities such as the special policy to sell classed people and increase consumption expenditure. So these are the reasons. That's why the customers don't want to more deposit in the banks, or less deposited in the banks as they prior. And so this is the impact as okay, so that there's the full framework, but we have analyzed yet. Okay, so revenue would be affected by the interest on loans, and interest on loans, how it would be affected: amount of loans, interest rates, or percentage collected. And amount of loans is the availability of funds and limited demand, like availability of funds of and limited demand. And further, limited demand we not consider, because the interviewer said that uh, that he saw a certain decrease in the availability of funds. So that's why the banknote lend money and not generate enough interest on loans, right? And but and further, how availability of funds would be impacted, either from the number of people they start depositing less, or depositors per person. And we consider depositors per person, either amount earned is decreasing less by the youth like 21 and 35 between ages, and percentage of deposited less. So we clearly analyze that either the alternate policies would be offered by another bank, or would be offered by another agency that lure the customers, that lure the salary class people mainly, and invest their money in them. So that is a main framework. And last, you have to give suggestions also, like as I said in the questions. So the suggestion is very clear, like implement a future fund mutual fund division in the bank, and have alternate investment options like gold, etc. Look at targeting people at other age groups, etc. So basically, Why this suggestion helpful? Like implement a mutual fund division in the bank and have alternate investment options like gold, etc. So the bank will generate another source of revenue by taking a commission from the companies. And if the bank sell the mutual fund policies to its customers, then the bank also would get commission from both sides, right? So that's the main source of generation of revenue. And also look at targeting people at other age groups. So bank also would start different schemes for different age groups and to lure the customers. So that would be the main suggestions of mine if I in the US shoes, if I in the US shoes. So that would be my main suggestions. And just remember, suggestion is very good if you give at the last, because it gives you brownie points even if even the interviewer not ask about your suggestion. So it would be good if you have, so you have to give, because it will take you a brownie points that yes, you have understand the knowledge and you have the knowledge of a particular thing. And so that's why my okay, so thank you so much, guys, and I will come back with another video, and mainly the within a new framework of the market entry framework very soon. And thank you so much.